Whirring away. Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the Kerfuffle Showcase. Today, looking at Mio with Jon Horton. Jon Horton, it's a return appearance here. You were on the panel the other day in sales progression. Welcome back.
Hi Simon, thanks for having me back.
That's okay. I don't think you get a sort of membership card or something, not yet, but we'll send you some pink Kerfuffle merch to thank you for being such a good guest. So could you give us just an overview, I suppose, of what Mio is all about and what's the problem it's trying to solve?
Yeah, sure. Well, in a nutshell, Simon, Mio is a sales progression and communication platform that is designed for estate agents, and it provides a really simple process for agents to follow, which allows them to manage their pipeline much more effectively by providing a single chain view. So it's removing lots of duplication, and it's providing a single chain view for everyone to connect to and kind of progress together. And it solves numerous problems that kind of combined contribute to kind of slow pipeline turnover. And perhaps the biggest problem of all is that lack of transparency in the current process, because typically all agents tend to be doing their sales progression in a very much an isolated way. So, you know, if you're a poor agent in that chain trying to find out, you know, the state of play further up and down the chain, you're typically resorting to lots of phone calls and chasing and emails and so forth, just trying to find out where everyone's at. And it's a bit old-fashioned, really, when you think about all the wonderful technology that's available to us now.
Yeah, why do you think that is? Why do you think we've been so... No, I'm not having a go at you, by the way. Why have you taken so long? At least you're solving the issue. Why do you think it has taken so long? As you said, it's not like this feels like it's otherworldly, is it? There are other industries that are doing this sort of thing better.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I think partly it's to do with human nature, and there's a resistance to sort of changing habits. That's probably, you know, you talk to any, you know, technology provider out there, and there's some wonderful ideas and some wonderful technology out there, but trying to get traction and adoption is probably the single biggest challenge, because it involves people changing habits. But I think in the UK market over the last 18 months, there just seems to be much more kind of focus and inertia and around really driving change for the good of everyone involved in that whole home moving process. Because quite frankly, when you compare our process to, you know, the way in which you buy and sell homes around the world, it does seem to be very archaic. It just needs to change, doesn't it? So, you know, we're fortunate, we're backed by some very supportive shareholders who have allowed us to sort of, you know, invest in that technology and try and help to drive some of the change that the market's desperate for.
So I suppose the question I should be asking is really not why should agents, why would they not get on board with this? Can you, playing devil's advocate against your own service, which is a bit weird, why would people not try to get involved to make this? Because transparency only ever helps, doesn't it, as far as I can see?
Well, it does, unless you're an agent that doesn't like transparency, because you know that you're not very good at sales progression and you don't want to expose some of your weaknesses.
Let me just deal with that. If you're watching and you're really shady, Mio is not the client of the product. We're only looking for the board agents. Yeah,
everyone can change. Sorry, Simon. Just track back. Take me back to your original question there.
Why would somebody not get involved? Is there a perception that it's just, I suppose, in my head, it's just another tool we have to use? But realistically, as I said, given it's part of the process that they have to do anyway, it is a tool that supports them. So again, look, we'll come on to the pricing and everything else later and everything else, but there's nothing in that model that prevents them from really using this properly, is there?
There isn't. Well, first of all, when people actually see a live demo from one of our account managers and they see how it all knits together, particularly with the consumer using the app, all of a sudden they get it and they think, well, this is brilliant. You know, we should be using this. So perhaps one of the reasons why people, you know, don't get it is because they don't necessarily fully understand it, and their mindset is, oh, it's a sales progression tool and I've got that inbuilt into my CRM system, so I don't really need that. But actually, it's not there to replace a CRM system. It's actually to do a very important part of the process, but in a really simple, easy to follow, joined up way. And that's where it's very, very different. I think the other reason why perhaps people think, oh yeah, it's not really for us, is because with a lot of technology, the knee-jerk reaction from perhaps agents is, well, of course, I can't use it because it doesn't integrate with my CRM system.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I mean, obviously, this is where I have to put my hands in the air and kind of apologise there. That was always something that we were beset with suppliers saying, look, you know, we've literally got loads of agents who want to join us, but because you aren't able to do the integration, they're not on board. Now, one thing I would just that I do actually know as well is it did allow agents to take a bit of a lazy sort of approach. If they didn't like a supplier for whatever reason, they would just throw out that sort of thing. But yeah, just because you have the same, may ostensibly have the same fields in Mayo or another sales progression tool, chain building tool, and your CRM, does not mean that they are doing the same job, does it?
No, not at all. And quite frankly, you know, Mio solves an immediate problem for agents in terms of joining up that sales progression process and trying to speed up pipeline turnover. And we do appreciate that, you know, if you need to rekey a bit of data to get it into Mio, you know, that is a bit tedious. But actually, the reality is it only takes about 30 seconds to put a property record into Mio. Unless, of course, the other agent that you're in the chain with has already done it for you because they've actually built the chain. So you could actually log in, land into Mio and find that 10 Acacia Avenue that you're selling has already been plugged in, and a lot of the work's been done because there's that collaboration with agents pulling on the rope in the same direction. And the thing is, to integrate with all of the various CRM platforms out there would take an awfully long time. They've all got their own technical roadmaps and their own priorities and so forth. And I think waiting, it just doesn't really help the agent overcome a number of their immediate problems. And the big problem at the moment that everyone is shouting about is, yeah, we're really busy, lots of listings and so forth, but when we actually come to tie up a sale, it's just taken us forever and a day to actually turn that pipeline over and get that sale through. And that's what we're aiming to help them with.
I think that secret sauce you talk about there, though, in terms of what you didn't label it, but I certainly will, is that self-building chain is incredibly powerful. And I mean, it's great now, and let's be honest, as you're at the start of your journey here, but where it will become absolutely compelling is as we hit a critical mass, and a number of those properties in that chain are already there and being updated, that's where this really starts to pay massive dividends, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And we are acutely aware of that need to try and get more and more data into Mio. And you know, that one of the big problems around that, well, yeah, my reason not to is because you don't integrate with my CRM. But trust me, Simon, we're working on a number of initiatives, and hopefully we'll be able to announce some exciting news in the next sort of 6 to 8 weeks that will help.
Here first on Kerfuffle, of course. We want that.
Yeah, in the next 6 to 8 weeks, that will help overcome part of that problem. And And actually, in preparation for today, I thought it would be quite nice just to throw up on screen what a Mio chain.
Let me put that slide on for you. There you are. So what we're looking at here.
Yeah. So what we're looking at here is that I'm the agent at the bottom there, the Mio agent, and my property is ready to exchange. And actually, this demonstrates that Mio handles complex chains as well.
Split chain.
A split chain, moving upwards, split chain. And what we're seeing here is that there's complete transparency. So it's a fully qualified capped off chain.
Yeah.
And without actually calling either of those two agents, I would have a view of their milestones, because everyone's working with a milestone standard. Yeah. And I'll be able to see exactly how far through the process they are. So I can see that already visually, because I understand the system, that they're pretty well advanced. They're still at that sale agreed status, so they're not quite ready to exchange. But if they log in, they'll see me at the bottom, and I'm sat there ready to go, ready to exchange.
So just so I understand, John, when I'm looking at a system like this, one of the key things for me is, how quickly is it to pick something up? So if I'm looking at what's it there, French's Gate in the top left corner there, I can see that on the kind of the circle there, two segments are completed. So we're essentially 2/5 of the way through that.
We are. We break the sales progression down into 5 simple stages. So you've got getting prepared, searches and inquiries, contracts, and then finally exchange and complete. And obviously it's not a linear process, so any one of those first 3 segments can be in play at the same time. And obviously once you're through that segment, it turns to a solid color. But you can see visually there, it's very easy, simple to follow. But the other key thing, just to take us back to talking about data, is that when we're trying to make it less onerous for agents to update the progress, because we're starting to consume more and more data from other professionals that are involved in this process, so namely conveyancers, surveyors and mortgage brokers. So it could be that a number of the key milestone stages have actually been populated for that agent through a validated data feed. So, and in actual fact, 35% of properties in Mio currently benefit from at least one of the milestones being updated through an automated feed. So we're starting to move towards that stage of kind of, call it assisted, working towards hands-free sales progression for the agents. So it's good news for them, and obviously the more people embrace this, the better it becomes.
It's true. I say it a lot, but it's greater than the sum of the parts, isn't it? By the phrase at the moment, which is very popular, is all in this together. Well, actually, if you do throw yourself into Mio like this, everyone in the process committed to getting these sales through wins, don't they?
100%. I mean, I appreciate. Look, I've said it on numerous times. When you're competing for the listing, the gloves are off. And fair play. But when you're in a chain, if agents really do start to not view them as your arch rivals in the high street, but collaborate, because you've all got skin in the game, and if you can work harmoniously across that chain, everyone's going to benefit. And of course, what we're now starting to do, earlier this year as a first, we actually started serving up a restricted chain view to conveyancers as well, and that was a first for them. So that's really proving beneficial to conveyancers, because for the first time they can see the full picture, and that really helps them when they're managing their transactions and prioritizing work.
I've often heard it said that trying to get agents to do something is like herding cats. So I don't know what your challenge is, trying to get agents and conveyancers, but it's cats and dogs. I don't know, but anyway, it's a laudable project, and I do mean that. I think it's, first of all, it looks great, really, really simple there. You can get into this very, very quickly and easily here. You mentioned there's a restricted view for conveyancers. Do you give the consumer access to this as well?
Yeah, the consumer is a really integral part of this because, and that's why we developed the Mio app that runs alongside it. So as an agent, I can invite my vendor or my buyer to register and download the app free of charge.
Yeah.
And they get a different view of the chain, kind of diagrammatic view, so that again there's that transparency. They can see where their property is in the chain. But as an agent, as I'm starting to do the sales progression, Mio is pushing automated notifications to me as the vendor, keeping me updated as to the progress. So I'm kind of sat there thinking, great, I'm reassured things are happening, but I'm also sometimes having a little bit of a nudge because there could be some tasks for me to do. And I spoke about this on a webinar the other week where sometimes areas of delay can actually be the vendors holding themselves up because they're slow in turning around legal forms. And it's those sorts of tasks that we would serve up with a due date and a reminder through the app. And it's proving to work really, really well because the way in which consumers like to gather information, view information, and communicate through chat messaging, you know, people are less inclined to kind of pick up the phone or send emails these days. It's kind of all done on one of these, isn't it, these days?
Absolutely. Well, look, you know, you've got to get past the email, haven't you, as well? Look, emails are a fantastic tool, but they pale into insignificance alongside your phone and app and notifications, don't they? Which just are the very first, you can't ignore, basically, can you, very, very easily these days? So that really makes a lot of sense there.
Yeah, and you know, I suppose if you're an early adopter, you could argue that if you're out there doing market appraisals, and maybe you're the only agent that's truly embraced this in your high street today, you perhaps got a competitive advantage because you're starting to build in that customer service element through the Mio app at listing stage. And we have had anecdotal stories and evidence from customers where they've said, you know, it certainly helped me win that listing. So, you know, agents should be mindful of that. But I would really encourage, you know, agents to sort of jump in on this and really create that kind of community approach because, like you said earlier, Simon, it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah. You're not allowed to use the you just need one more instruction to pay for this because that was the Simon Whale close. I copyrighted that and now everyone's thoroughly sick of it.
I'm a few people that say if I hear that one more time.
That's why I had to move on. You know, you were talking there though, and I guess you were being quite diplomatic, but you know, would it be fair to say that actually the vendor's holding it up a majority of the time, or am I over-egging that? Because I can just well imagine that they, you know, and I am genuinely thinking about my own disorganized self. The amount of times that, you know, what it doesn't really matter what it is, but I'm lambasting the fact that it's not moving forward. Then it's like, well, the reason why is I haven't sent XYZ bit of information or submitted this. Do you actually know what percentage of those blockers are essentially? Because that would be really fascinating to know. Maybe when we next talk, we could look at some analysis on that.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that there's sufficient data to that level that's running through Mio at the moment to give you some real meaningful kind of stats off the back of that. But I think one of the reasons why sometimes vendors and buyers can sort of slow the whole process down themselves is because there's a bit of a lack of understanding of the process. I mean, let's face it, you know, people just don't move as frequently as they used to, you know, and actually that's where Mio also helps because within the app, it gives them some helpful guides as to those different stages that I described, such as, you know, getting prepared, you know, what on earth, you know, I'm selling a leasehold flat. What on earth's a management company information pack? You know, that's an area that can cause a bit of delay. So we kind of explain that. But from the agent's perspective, I mentioned the word simple when we opened this broadcast, you know, and that's at the heart of Mio. It's to make the whole sales progression process simple so that if I'm relatively new into an agent's business and a branch, you know, I don't have to be truly well experienced, because Mio helps me in my learning and my understanding of the process by the way in which the information is laid out and the milestones. And actually, if agents are better equipped to understanding the process, then they can inform and advise their customers, and that helps to sort of, you know, guide them through that process. I've always said, you know, out of all of the different professions that are involved in a home moving transaction, to me, and you might disagree, but to me, it's the agent that truly owns that relationship, because they're the closest to the vendors and buyers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you were talking about introducing Simon, you were just simple. You were talking simple Simon. I thought you were just being a little bit cheeky at the beginning, but talk us through. I mean, obviously we're looking at it on screen here, but talk us through the actual process. How does it work from, like, literally, you know, from going onto the system, as you said before, there's a tiny bit of admin in terms of getting it on. Walk us through the process in terms of how it's normally used from there on.
Okay, well, I'm deliberately not going to give you a demo now on screen, because I want people to inquire, but it's super simple. So here we go. So, you know, rather than that default of building your chain in your CRM or on a piece of paper, what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into my Mio account, and first of all, I'm going to find out if someone else has already plugged my property into that chain. If not, I'm just going to search for the address, add my details in very quickly. 30 seconds, I've got my property record on there. And then I can just basically go through and use the Mio chain tools to start building out my chain. So if I'm building up, I'll add a link up, I'll search for the address, I'll find it, and then I'll associate it to the brand and the branch who are selling that property, and that pulls in that link. I can add my vendor details and my buyer details, so that I can click a button to invite them to register for the app. And then really, when it comes to the sales progression, it's already done through that milestones tab. So everyone is working from a standard set of milestones, so that when you are navigating up and down the chain, it's very easy to interpret where everyone's at, because we're all talking the same talk. And it's literally a case of ticking a box to update a milestone or recording a sales progression note. And then you've got some underlying management information reporting that helps you kind of prioritize through a dashboard, you know, overdue milestones. So agents love it in their morning stand-up meetings. You know, what's our focus for the day?
Yeah.
When it comes to sales progression, right, where do we need to focus our effort? And Mio actually points you, well, it signposts you to what you need to do.
I can imagine that being a really useful facet, as you said, in those morning meetings, just to focus on those that need attention, and actually, you know, skip past the ones that aren't in any problems, without logging into your CRM system, going into the required bit. Because you're quite right, on an individual basis, that the CRM systems did all right. They didn't cope particularly well with complexity like split chains, but what they were all very poor at is they had no overview ability there. You know, that almost KPI element you just showed there is something that I haven't seen done very well in any CRM.
And I'll use this opportunity to thank all of our customers for their support and their feedback, because actually it's through their feedback that we've helped to sort of further develop. You know it yourself, Simon. You know, good tech doesn't stand still; it's forever evolving and developing. And that's thanks to our customer base that we're taking on that journey together to make the system better for everyone that's involved in it. So I would like to thank them. But yeah, an area we're working on currently is around more kind of KPIs on a dashboard that really help, you know, business owners and managers to really drill down and sort of, you know, see speed of pipeline turnover, fall through rates, the value of their pipeline, and kind of pinch points, so that they can better manage their business.
Excellent. And I mean, you mentioned the client base. I mean, as you said, look, you are right at the almost the start of getting out there now. I mean, it's a very robust product. As you said, you've spent a long time getting this absolutely right, haven't you, to launch? So there's none of this kind of worries as to, minimum viable product. It's there, it's ready to go. It's ready to do. But the one key thing is you've already got a spectacular take-up, haven't you, in terms of offices on board again, which is giving you that foundation again so that, over time, again, more and more of those properties in the chain will already be there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's we were proud to announce last month in June that we topped the 1,000 mark for enabled branches using, and they're consistent branch users month on month. So that's a kind of bedrock that really, we've been through that sort of pilot stage of a good 18 months, kicking the tires of it, developing the system. So it is very robust and resilient. And we've got a great technology team based down in Swindon that have written all of the code for this, and it's certainly got capacity. So a lot of my time now is actually spent talking to various data providers who want to share data with Mio, because the penny's dropped. It all makes sense. Because actually, if I share my data in Mio and it's updating the chain, it's a win-win for everyone involved.
And one of the dangers, I suppose, of this would be, actually, this is one of those areas where you need really a single dominant player to benefit from all of those, to leverage that. There have been other players, haven't there? But they seem to have fallen by the wayside. Why do you think Mio has well, not just remained, but emerged, obviously, with those really impressive growth figures there?
Well, I think developing technology is an expensive business, and we're fortunate to have very supportive shareholders, and our shareholders are estate agents themselves. So that has actually given us a natural national footprint, which certainly helps, because you're starting, you're coming out the blocks, with a sprint rather than a trot, and that really does help when you've got that sort of footprint. And because of our kind of heritage as well, in terms of, Mio is a product that is part of TM Group. We're very well known for setting up searches for conveyancers. We've got a lot of established relationships there in the world of conveyancing, mortgage brokers and surveyors. So when it comes to, having those conversations around data sharing, we're pushing on some open doors in some instances, and that just really helps. But I'm delighted with the progress, absolutely. But we were conscious, obviously, that 2020 is far from a normal year, so we were keen at the beginning of lockdown to sort of reach out to the agent community and sort of say, look, unprecedented times, we'll offer you Mio free of charge for the remainder of this year.
Brilliant.
And that's been really well received.
Yeah, I can imagine why. By the way, I absolutely loved your description. Far from a normal year. that's the most diplomatic I've heard it. Yeah, rather than normal, it's a shit show. Look, that's genuinely, that's really impressive. So I've been challenging a lot of suppliers from the beginning of lockdown. Is look, these are very different times. It really isn't that agents don't want to be, utilizing new tools. It's just that cash flow is going to be at an absolute, at a premium or at a pinch point for their coming. So you've got to be creative for the moment to try and get these people on. But I truly believe that actually for those companies like yourselves that have had that vision, to do that, all you're doing is deferring the income for into next year, aren't you? Really getting people using it in anger.
Yeah, we are, and our model for pricing is very transparent. So we've got a tiered pricing scale. So based on the size of the business and the branches, it starts off at 90 quid a month if you've got up to 2 branches, and at 90 quid you can appreciate there's not a lot of fat there to sort of shave off, but we've done our hardest to try and build in a model that gives that tiered approach, and it's very transparent. But all I would say is The only problem when you offer something for free is that sometimes people's buying motives are for the wrong reasons. And all I would say is, if you're an agent out there that's thinking of registering for MEO because it's free, then you've completely missed the point. You know, people need to register for MEO because they've got a problem that they want to solve, and they can resonate that this could solve that problem, and we'll consult and work with them to make that happen. But just doing it because it's just registering because it's free is obviously for the wrong reason.
No, that's always a risk, and unfortunately, until sometimes a lot of the time, until there is skin in the game, they don't dedicate time. But as you said, the win there obviously is in cutting sales times, isn't it? Ultimately, and there can't be a more immediate payback on your bottom line than that, really, can there?
No, and we've already started through some of our marketing to have inbound inquiries from consumers that are asking about MEO. You know, I'm thinking about putting my house on the market. What's this MEO thing? And we've gone to them and sort of explained what it is, and they've sort of said, so I need to find out if my agent is MEO enabled. And it's like, well, yeah, you do. If you want to make benefit of the app, you've got to be working with an agent that is registered and using MEO. So
you need a little logo with a thumbs up saying you're approved. Get that in the
yeah. Funny enough, we've literally just launched our training and resource hub for agents. So there's loads of helpful video clips once you're registered in terms of how to use MEO.
Yeah.
But then there's a resource hub. So there is stuff there like where you can promote on your website to say that you are a MEO enabled agent. So maybe, maybe over time we will start to see the power of the consumer influencing. I'm not saying that's going to happen overnight, but we've already started to witness a couple of inquiries coming through that suggest that could start to happen more and more.
I think you could well imagine, couldn't you? As you said, unfortunately for us in many ways, that because people move so rarely. It's not like every single year they will be able to say, well, I need to use the MEO tool. But if you've used it once and then you come back to it, you're going to absolutely categorically want to have an agent that has that same service again, aren't you? Otherwise, it's going to feel like a bit of a, you're going backwards.
Yeah, and I think some agents are a little bit short-sighted as well in terms of looking for that repeat business or referred business because they've given such a great customer experience. So if they put the customer at the center of everything that they do, there's payback for them there. And again, that's an important element of the MEO proposition, is having that app that does start to make the whole transaction more customer centric.
Makes perfect sense there. In terms of we've touched on the CRM point, and of course, as you said, there's a huge amount of them. And given how actually quick it is to get going, it's not the issue there. Are you still having those conversations with CRM companies though to try and facilitate those?
Yes, we are. Yeah, we are absolutely. But they're they're candles with a longer wick. They take a bit longer to burn down and get to where you need to be. Well, we're doing we've got a simple data flow that we put in place initially with Repit, but we're looking to sort of rework that since they've obviously moved to their foundations platform. But we've also been conscious about the value of data from other third parties, from conveyancer data, mortgage data, surveying data, all that sort of valuable data that a CRM system in its own right is not going to be able to provide an agent. So we've really had to focus our priorities on creating an open API infrastructure for MEO so that we can start to consume high volumes of data in an easy fashion for us to sort of manage for the benefit of the users.
Okay. And again, it took. I was a bit unfair when you were saying why hasn't this come sooner? If it took Gmail, Google 5 years to move Gmail out of beta, then we should be glad of anything less. But you've spoken about now, it looks really robust. Clearly, the thousands branches is a massive key mark as well. What are the plans for the future in terms of the platform?
Well, our focus for the next half of this year is around consuming and getting more data flows into Mio. I touched on, hopefully we'll be making some exciting announcements in the next 6 to 8 weeks with getting more agent data in there to overcome that hurdle of, the hang up around rekeying a bit of data. And then we're working on some management information reporting, and then we'll also be looking at version 2 of the Mio app as well, to serve up better information and a different look and feel to the consumer app, to sort of mature that as well. And also around looking back and looking at our other part of our business, which is around searches and all of the good stuff we've done there. There's an awful lot of integrations with people like Land Registry that we already have in place. So when it comes to things like, lots of talk about, getting market ready and being able to get information about a property from searches and so forth at a very early stage, that's also a piece of work that's in our roadmap, so that we could potentially say to an agent, well, look, key and address in, we'll tell you what the title number is, and we'll actually go away and get the Land Registry register, and we'll be able to tell you straight away how many years are left on the lease, who the registered owners are, so you can verify all of that, and then we can lift some of that key data in and populate key fields in Mio again, to avoid an element of rekeying.
Great, absolutely good. And just talk us through again. Can you just recap, but just before we finish, in terms of you've been fantastic in terms of it's absolutely free to the end of the year. What is just reiterating the pricing structure again for certain smaller agents?
Yeah, so we've got tiered pricing based on the number of branches. So the tiers, I should know this, shouldn't I, off the top of my head? But the tiers go something like this: 1 to 2 branches, £90 per branch per month. Then you go into the next tier, which is like 3 to 5 branches, and it would be £85, then £80, and then once you get to sort of beyond 21 plus branches, you're looking at sort of 75, 60 quid per branch per month. And then we're also looking to build in a discount if someone signs up for a 12-month or a 2-year contract.
Rewarding loyalty, essentially. Yeah.
Rewarding loyalty, with a nominal discount of either 5 or 10%. And then we've also got a pricing model that complements agents where they may have 10 branches, but they may centralise their sales progression out of one branch.
Do you have any issues? Do you have online agents on the platform? Are they allowed to go on the platform? One of the previous companies that, as I said, went to the wayside. It struck me as it was a little bit short-sighted. I saw them do a pitch to a very big agent, just as an observer doing consultancy, and the agent was absolutely, this is fantastic. He says, I really, really like all this idea, but I don't want my competitor or the online agents to have it. And it's kind of, you've really missed the fundamental point of this, is that, you've got to have everything in there, haven't you, if you're going to all benefit in the right way.
Yeah, you have. I mean, look, if I'm an agent with high street premises, or I'm an online agent or working from a hub model, at the end of the day, I'm an agent, I'm selling properties, I've got customers, I'm involved in chains. I mean, I can relate to your story there in your consulting days, Simon, because I've experienced it myself, where someone sort of says, well, don't go talking to them, John, because I want to have the competitive advantage here. Make the most of it. I can kind of see that, but it is slightly short-sighted, because you do actually want to look at, well, look, who's in my chain? Who am I in chains with most frequently? And let's pick up the phone, work with the Mio team to try and create our own little community, because everyone's going to benefit.
That's absolutely spot on. It feels like a group hug's in order there, but we'll do it.
A virtual hug.
So if people are, I've just posted up, by the way, the mio.co.uk contact us there. What happens once they register on there?
One of our account management team will be in touch with them to follow up that inquiry, run a demo, look at it in more detail, understand their business, what problem they're trying to solve, and then there's a simple registration form. We can get an account set up, inside a working day, and then we just basically organise, some sort of starter training, get them going. But like I say, simplicity is at the heart of this. I mean, I've had some people that have just registered and they said, well, I'll tell you what, John, if you say it's that simple, I'll put it to the test and I'll ring you if I need any help. And I've never heard from them since, and they've been using month on month. So
right. Just on that, I suppose you mentioned before in terms of the challenge of sometimes a free model is getting usage. There is also a challenge, isn't there, where principles of the business can get very taken with particular solutions, but unfortunately, if they don't engage the end staff in the right way and get them buying into it, that it doesn't develop as you would anticipate it. How do you encourage the staff to get involved? I know you said you've got that online learning hub. Are you able to account manage throughout the year as well and encourage them on YouTube?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I wrote a blog article for Mio recently about implementing kind of technology into a business and some of the challenges. Yeah. And I kind of signposted the kind of key stages to go through there. And it is, for us, it is very much about working hand in hand with the business owner, identifying the problem and more or less putting a charter in place and agreeing, right, how are we going to solve this problem together, and working through that with them to deliver the results, and having those regular checkpoints to sort of go in, look at it and say, look, how's it all going? Is it starting to solve issues that you had previously? So account management is a crucial part of it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I do know. I mean, actually, I don't know if you even knew this, John. I saw this many moons ago when it was actually literally on the kind of at the PowerPoint stage, and I was very excited in terms of being there. But what I'm saying is, I've seen your setup. This is not like one of the little prop tech startups that's done in somebody's attic. You have got huge resources and backing, haven't you, to make this work?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's to our strength, actually, and they are hugely influential and hugely supportive. We couldn't have done it without them. Yeah. And I think the fact that the technology that's been written as well. I mean, TM as a business has got a pedigree of providing really resilient, robust. We've been in business for 20 years serving the property sector, so this is a natural kind of direction of travel for us. Yeah. And people should be reassured that, we're not a small kind of prop tech startup with a little bit of seed funding that, we can burn through that really quickly. And are we going to be here tomorrow? We've got history, and we've got some wounds to prove it as well.
Well, you're playing the right. What I like about that is you're not constrained by kind of quarterly figures. Of course, you're going to have targets, but actually you're looking at this as the long game, aren't you? And doing all the right stuff to get to that point, rather than maybe chasing short-term commerciality, because you have to, is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, absolutely. You do have to look at the long game. Trying to fix the housing market in the UK, you can't do it overnight. I mean, there's been a lot of talking. Now we are starting to see some proactive movement and change, which is really, really encouraging. And it's one of those things that will start to sort of build momentum. I've always said to agents, don't go looking for a quick fix. You've got to look for a longer term solution. And I think by using Mio, you're actually future-proofing your agency model when it comes to sales progression as well.
I wish I'd thought of that, John. That's a great line. If it's all right with you, I might nick that in the future. But no, I genuinely, I can see that happening. Just in terms of brass tacks again there, John, what, obviously you spoke about at the beginning, the ultimate aim is trying to fix the broken system and try and speed through transactions. Are you able to quantify at all? Are you able to talk about sort of some clients? What have they been able to reduce times by?
We are. We've got. I had a testimonial from a client the other day that had been doing their sales progression very, very diligently on a spreadsheet that could take you to the moon and back. It was that complex, but she was all over it, and it was her world. She took a look at Mio, and her eyes lit up. And within 2 weeks of using Mio, she reckoned that she was operating at an efficiency where she was shaving a good week and a half to 2 weeks off her transaction straight away because of the impact of Mio. And on average, you know, we talk about average time of transactions, you know, 16 weeks. You know, the average transaction time that we're measuring through Mio currently is just over 80 days. So we're sort of hovering around about that kind of 13-week stage.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, well, that'd be fascinating to see how that develops, because I have no doubt at all that as that builds as well and you get more efficient, you're going to see that come down and down, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be delighted to come back and share that news with you over the course of the coming quarters and months and so forth. Absolutely.
That'd be really good. I think that'd be really nice to see that as a thing. Well, look, thanks very much for taking the time. And as we said, do go to your landing page, go to mio.co.uk/contact us. And, you know, if you're interested, there's no reason not to do it now, unless, as John said, you just want a free deal. I find I'd love people to go and give that a go and give us some useful feedback on there. And of course, give reviews on the Kerfuffle site. I'm sure John would love to see feedback in that respect as well. John, thank you very much. Sounds very exciting. And I wish you all the very best in fixing, as you said, the broken system.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And thanks for all your support, Simon, and thanks for those recent referrals. And yeah, it's been great coming on your broadcast today.
Not a problem at all. Well, as long as you like the colour pink, you'll do all right here.
Well, I was last week when we were lined up to do this. I thought we were going to have a pink off because I had my pink polo shirt on, but you know it's in the wash, so I had to put out a different colour.
It's a good job, but it just blended into the back together on here, and people wouldn't know what they're looking at. Great. Just to let you know again, as we said, this will be up on all the normal places, and we'll put it on your landing page as well, so anyone can kind of get a further view. John, once more, thank you very much.
Cheers. Fantastic. Take care, everyone.
See ya.